Hello, Serendipity friends. I'm Mrs. Wheelis from the Summit Library, and today's program is called Fly Me to the Moon. We have 2 great books about flying to the moon and 3 songs, and Mr. Ben has a surprise for us. Now, the first song is Moon, Moon, Moon by Lori Berkner. Now, when I was learning this song, I realized that at the end, it reminded me of another funnier song. So I'm going to sing 2, one after the other. Moon, 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 shining bright. Moon, 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 my night light. Moon, 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 I can see. Moon, 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 you're taking care of me. Look up, it's the moon. Look up, it's the moon. Look up, it's the moon up in the sky. It's big and round, and I have found that it looks just like a piece of pie. Hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had a good time, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. When the stars make you drool just like a pasta e fasul, that's amore. When you dance down the street with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore. Scusami, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody's calling me. Whose voice do you suppose that could be? My goodness. Hello, who's calling? I thought it sounded like the old lady who is now called the fairy godmother. Hello, everybody. Oh, say hello. Hello, we're glad to see you. Why did you say wait a minute in the middle of my song?
Oh, I just wanted to sing the second part myself.
I see, okay. And you know the words and everything?
Yes, I know everything. You know, I was a huge Dean Martin fan. He's the one that sang this song and made it popular.
Dean Martin fan? Well, you surprised me because you told me once that you were an Elvis fan.
Oh, Elvis! I also like Dean Martin.
Okay, well, let's try the song. You ready? Okay, here we go.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
That's amore.
When the world seems to shine like you've had a good time, that's amore.
That's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling. Let's
sing Vita Bella,
Vita Bella.
Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella.
Tarantella.
When the stars make you drool just like a pasta e fasul, that's amore.
That's amore.
When you dance down the street with the cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk in a dream. But you know, you're not dreaming, Signore. Excuse me, but you see, working on Napoli. Oh, that was wonderful. You really hit that last note. That was very good. Take a bow. Thank you. And now let's get on with our program.
This book is entitled If You Decide to Go to the Moon, and it was written by Faith McNulty with illustrations by Stephen Kellogg. And Stephen Kellogg, we have a lot of books in the library that are illustrated by Stephen Kellogg. He's one of our favorite illustrators. If you decide to go to the moon in your own rocket ship, read this book before you start. It will tell you how to get there and what to do after you land. The most important part tells you how to get home. Check the things you will need: spacesuit, air tanks, books, and games. Don't forget your diary and plenty of food. Peanut butter, apples, and cake will taste good in space. Water and juice are also important. You see how the sister is filling these plastic bags with the juice, because that's the way you have to drink it in space. To get to the moon, you will travel about 240,000 miles, a long trip. But rocket ships go fast. If you average 3,750 miles per hour, you will get there in 2.5 days. Get aboard and close the hatch. Light the burners. Help me with this. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! You shoot up, up, up into the sky. As your ship rises through the clouds, your body is pressed against the seat. At first you feel very heavy, but don't worry, this feeling will go away. For a few seconds you fly through a mixture of clouds and air and dust that hangs over the earth. It's not very thick, only about 15 miles. You will shoot right through and into space. Space is dark and empty. There's no air in space, no clouds, no rain. Only a few specks of dust, some rocks called meteors, and some chunks of ice called comets. Both meteors and comets are pieces of stars that exploded long ago and have been flying around in space ever since. If one hit you, that would be very bad. But space is so big, and you and your ship are so small, that is not likely to ever happen. In the blackness of space, the stars shine like a million fireflies. The sun blazes with fiery light, and the moon, the mysterious moon, glows like a pearl in the black, black sky. Of course, you know that the moon has no light of its own. It glows in the light of the sun. Relax. Take off your seatbelt and be prepared for a surprise. Because you are weightless in space, you'll feel amazingly light. You will float like a feather inside the cabin and bounce off the cabin walls. But you'll bounce very lightly, and it's fun, a lot of fun. When you are thirsty, do not try to pour yourself a glass of orange juice. With everything weightless, the orange juice would collect into floating liquid balls and become an orange juice blob. You can drink out of a squeeze bottle instead, like the ones the sister was making for him. After supper and a squeeze of juice, it's time for bed. Tie yourself to your bunk so you won't float away, and settle down for a good night's sleep. Of course, there is no night in space. You will have to pretend. Try to have sweet dreams. When you wake, you will be much closer to the moon. It will be big and round and very bright, with dark patches that look like lakes or seas. They were made billions of years ago when the moon was very hot, hot enough to melt stone. Now and then, melted stones spurted up through the crust and spread out on the surface like spilled soup. When it cooled, it hardened into stone called lava. From Earth, these smooth, dark places look like oceans. Playing cards will help you pass the time, but if you drop them, they will drift around the cabin like butterflies. Floating around to catch them will feel like swimming in a dream. The first humans to go to the moon landed on the Sea of Tranquility. It is marked on your moon map and would be a good place for you to land. But you still have a long way to go. When you're tired, lie down and look at all the stars. On Earth, you see only the stars that are above you. Up here, there are stars in every direction. You might write in your diary, I wonder how far space goes and where it ends. At last, when you've read all your books and played all your games, you wake from a nap and see the moon right there below you. You look down on an endless desert. Everything is all one color, silvery gray. The ground is covered with rocks and round craters. Craters are holes made by meteors that have rained down on the moon through the ages. Some were huge and made deep holes hundreds of miles across. Of course, you steer clear of the rocky places. At last, you see a lava lake below, the Sea of Tranquility. Get ready to land. As you descend, your craft shivers and shakes. It settles softly. You feel a bump. You are on the moon. Your first look will be disappointing. All you see through your porthole is a cloud of dust stirred up by your landing. Put on your spacesuit and air tank while you wait for the dust to settle. Then open the hatch and jump out. You will land lightly. The moon is smaller than Earth and has less gravity to pull you down. If you weigh 60 pounds on Earth, you will weigh only 10 pounds on the moon. Your first step will be difficult. You will rise in the air and leap forward like a kangaroo. But once you learn how, walking will be fun. Each step takes you 5 times as far as a step on Earth. Leaping over boulders and craters, you cover the ground with magical swiftness. The moonscape is strange, but it doesn't look dangerous. The dust reminds you of cake flour. You wish you could take off your spacesuit and play in it, but don't do it. The heat of the sun would burn you up. Because there is no air or water on the moon, there are no clouds to shield it from the heat of the sun or the cold of space. Anything touched by the sun is blistering hot. Anything in shadow is instantly cold. Without a spacesuit, you would sizzle or freeze. As you walk, you will notice that your boots don't crunch on the pebbles. If you take a hammer and hit a rock, there is no bang. It is impossible to make a noise on the moon. Without air to carry the sound waves, you can't hear a bell ring, you can't hear a horn blow, you can't hear a whistle or a song on the moon. If you kick a pebble, it will bounce without a sound. As you keep walking, the silence and stillness are eerie. Nothing moves. The boulders and hills have strange shapes. Some hills look like dinosaurs. Some boulders look like giant turtles or weird birds or a herd of cows. A heap of jagged rocks looks like a ruined castle. You feel as if you might be in a fairy tale. Or is it a dream? Your map tells you that the astronauts' camp is just over the next hill. As you climb, you wonder if things will look different on the other side. Will you find something green, something alive, a meadow of moon grass, a herd of moon cows? The answer is no. The hills stretch on and on to the horizon, where the rim of the moon meets the blackness of space. Everything on the moon is lifeless and still. To find the astronauts' camp, climb to the top of a boulder and use your binoculars to scan the distance. Look for a patch of color, the red, white, and blue, of the flag that the astronauts left behind. It will stand out against the gray dust. As you get close to the camp, you will see everything the astronauts left behind. Strewn amidst the lunar dust, tools and equipment are scattered about. Their boot prints look fresh, as though they were made just a moment ago. There is no wind or rain to wear them away. The astronauts left a message for anyone who visits the moon. You find it written on a plaque, and it says, "Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot on the moon, July 1969 AD. But the flag the astronauts planted isn't flying. The flagpole was blown over from the blast when the astronauts took off, and the flag is lying in the dust. You pick it up and push it deep into the sand. The flag is stiffened with wires so that it looks as though it is flying, even though there is no wind. It is a brave and wonderful sight and reminds you of the courage of the astronauts who brought it here. If astronauts ever return, they will find the flag flying once again and your footprints in the dust. And by now, your tank of air must be half empty. It's time to return to your ship. Your trail of footprints will lead you back. You retrace your steps in leaps and bounds. When you see your spaceship waiting, you are suddenly homesick. You can't wait to get to Earth. Take a last look at the moonscape, get aboard, close the hatch, and pray that the computers will start. You push buttons, lights flicker, machinery whirs, rockets fire, your ship lifts off, your heart lifts too, but you have thousands of miles to travel. You'll just have to be patient. Whenever you feel discouraged, look through your porthole. You will see a beautiful sight. Earth, surrounded by stars, shining like a blue and white ball on a Christmas tree. The nearer you get to Earth, the more wonderful Earth will seem. Finally, you are close enough to see the continents and the oceans. You can see clouds and rain and wind moving across them, connecting everything on Earth. As you look down at the oceans, you think of all the animals that live there. Fish and whales and seals, turtles, dolphins, soaring seabirds, and countless more. You can see the snow cap at the North Pole and imagine great white bears wandering over the ice floes. you can see Earth's marvelous variety. Green forests and grassy plains, mountains, lakes, and deserts that are home to animals, plants, and people too. Why is Earth so different from Moon? Earth has air and water, on which all life depends. Without them, Earth would be as lifeless as the Moon. Air and water are Earth's special blessings. We must guard them well. Your trip is almost over. Your ship has reached the atmosphere. You drop down through clouds and land on green grass. You jump out, thankful for a miraculous journey and a safe return. And that's the story. As you bend down to kiss the ground, you promise you will always do your best to protect all life on planet Earth. And that is the story of If You Decide to Go to the Moon.
Remember, snap with me. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, here's my sandwich. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are really cool. I think that we should hang out more. In other words, really cool. In other words, I like you. Woo! Dance with me. See those snaps? Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are really cool. I think that we should hang out more. In other words, really cool. In other words, I like you.
This book is entitled Daring Dozen, The 12 Who Walked on the Moon. It's written by Susan Slade, and the beautiful illustrations are by Alan Marks. On the still, silent moon, no wind blows, no water flows, no life grows. Year after year, the moon circles Earth all alone. Apollo 11, July 20th, 1969. Until one day a spacecraft zooms by, closer and closer. Its long legs reach down. Finally, it touches ground. A man carefully places his boot on the gray dust. He says, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The moon's first visitor, Neil Armstrong, has arrived. Soon, Buzz Aldrin joins him. The two bounce across the surface in a jog-hop moonwalk. Even with heavy backpacks, the astronauts weigh much less than they do on Earth, thanks to the moon's lower gravity. Not a minute to waste, they gather rocks, snap pictures, and proudly plant an American flag. Then their time is up. An engine fires, dust flies, a silvery dot disappears into the blackness. Silence again. Then the next flight to the moon is Apollo 12 on November 19th and 20th, 1969. 4 months later, another ship appears. The pilot, Pete Conrad, scours the shadowy surface for his target, a group of craters that looks like a huge snowman. His goal is to land inside the snowman's belly button. The ship zigs right. It zags left. Then it lands with a thump right on target. "Good landing, Pete," crewmate Alan Bean says. Back on Earth, Mission Control cheers. This precise landing means future astronauts can choose where they'll explore. Eager to uncover the moon's many secrets, Alan hammers a tube into the ground to collect soil. Pete sets up an experiment to measure the sun's energy. The explorers collect rocks and take pictures. But much too soon, they must head for home. Now the third trip to the moon was Apollo 13, April 15th, 1970. The moon patiently waits several months. Then one day a spacecraft zooms over its far side. But the ship doesn't slow down. It doesn't land. It just speeds by, with 3 brave astronauts shivering inside. They look longingly at the moon below, the marvelous place they'd dreamed of exploring. But that dream ended yesterday when an explosion shook their craft and their confidence. Now they're running out of power, oxygen, and hope. They must return to Earth as fast as they can. The moon lends a helping hand. Its gravity pulls the injured spaceship faster and faster, then slings it toward home. So they didn't get to land on the moon, but they did arrive safely home. You can imagine how disappointed those 3 astronauts were. Apollo 14, February 5th and 6th, 1971. The moon waits 10 long months for its next visitors. But Alan Shepard has waited much longer. He's been grounded from flying for 10 years due to ear problems. Now he's finally soaring toward the moon. As the ship's pilot, Ed Mitchell, prepares for landing, the unthinkable happens. The radar won't turn on. Without it, they can't land. "Come on, radar," Ed pleads. Desperate, Alan turns the radar off, then flips it on again. The radar blinks to life. Whew. The landing is a go. Once on the moon, Alan spies a brilliant jewel in the black sky, Earth. Tears of joy fill his eyes. Then he looks down at a long list of jobs on his sleeve. Time to get to work. When his tasks are done, Alan pulls out 2 golf balls he smuggled aboard. Millions of people back home watch as he swings his homemade club. Smack! Alan becomes the first golfer in space. The next Apollo flight is Apollo 15th, July 30th through August 2nd, 1971. All alone, the moon circles Earth 174 more days. Then a ship named Falcon swoops in. Dave Scott and Jim Irwin have come to explore the moon's mighty mountains, and they've brought something new. A lunar rover. Seatbelts fastened tight, the 2 speed over the dusty land. Dave drives the rover as fast as it will go, so they'll have more time to explore. Every time they hit a rock, the rover soars through the air. Dave and Jim park the rover and hike up a steep mountain. Their boots sink into the loose dust. The climb is exhausting, yet they do not give up. Their goal is to find a white rock called anorthosite. This ancient rock was part of the moon's original crust. They discover gray rocks, green rocks, even rocks with bits of glass, but no anorthosite. The next day they use a rake to uncover rocks beneath the dust. Still no luck. Then Dave spies something white in the distance. Could it be? He moves closer and brushes off some moon dust. The rock sparkles in the sun. I think we found what we came for, Dave exclaims. The next flight is Apollo 16, April 21 through 24, 1972. 8 months later, the moon welcomes John Young and Charlie Duke. They can't wait to explore an area no one has visited, the moon's highlands. Scientists think the craters there were formed by erupting volcanoes. To prove this, the astronauts must find rocks made of lava. As the rover heads for the highlands, its tires slide over the fine moon dust. It's just like driving on snow, John says. The men hunt and hunt for lava rocks, but find something surprising instead. Rocks created long ago by meteors crashing into the moon. Their discovery means the craters were made by meteors, not volcanoes. The astronauts collect many treasures during their visit. On the last day, Charlie gives the moon one of his greatest treasures, a picture of his family. Apollo 17, December 11 through 14, 1972. Before long, 2 more space voyagers arrive. Gene Cernan and Jack Schmidt have brought enough supplies to stay more than 3 days, the longest visit yet. The explorers discover orange soil, precious titanium metal, and a boulder as big as a house. On their last day, Gene finds an unusual rock made of many small, different colored rocks. It reminds him of the many people who make up his home on the earth. He holds the rock in front of the camera so the world can see its unique beauty. We hope this will be a symbol of mankind, that we can live in peace and harmony, he says. Jean climbs onto the ladder one last time, leaving the last footprint on the moon for decades, maybe forever. A sleepy engine wakes. A tiny ship rises and soars through the black sea of space. Home. The steadfast moon circles Earth once every 27 days. A quiet place where no wind blows, no water flows, no life grows. But if you look closely at its dusty mountains, valleys, and craters, you'll find the friendly footprints of its only visitors, the daring dozen. And that is the story of Daring Dozen.
Hi everybody, my name is Ben Wheelis. My music students call me Mr. Ben. And today I'm going to explain a little bit about how to play music, particularly on the piano. So, we're going to be listening to Fly Me to the Moon, but this time sung in numbers. My mom is singing the numbers. Now, what are the numbers? You've heard of the letters C and D and E, but have you heard of, in music, the numbers 1, 2, and 3? What about flat 2? That sounds confusing. It's not really. It's like you can imagine putting a ruler down on the piano, and wherever you start, you can measure 12 inches or 12 intervals. Now, the size of the ruler doesn't match the size of the piano. It's just a metaphor. But you can play any song ever made by following the ruler, metaphorical ruler, and you can put it down on any note you want, and from there you know your numbers and you can follow the song, because songs have one set of interval numbers. There's 12 different sets of notes, because again, I could put my ruler down starting on any of the 12 notes. Today we're going to put our ruler down on the note C. So let's learn how to find C. On a piano, you can see that there's either 2 black notes or 3 black notes in groups, all the way up and down the piano. It's either 2 or 3. So let's find ourselves 2 black notes on the piano. The one to the left, the white note to the left of the 2 black notes, is C. If we put our ruler down on C, now all the white notes will be regular numbers, not flat numbers. Flat just means lower than. So if I go to flat 2, that means the note lower than 2. If we're in C, that means it's the black note between 1 and 2. If I wanted flat 6, what do you think that would be? That's note 1 lower than 6, which is going to be in the key of C on a black note. So notes flat 2 and flat 6 are in Fly Me to the Moon. But my mom doesn't sing flat 2 or flat 6. She sings flew and flicks, because if I sing flat 2, how many notes did that sound like? 2 notes, but I only wanted it to sound like 1 note. So I say flew, you're gonna hear just 1 note. If I sing flicks or flicks, you're gonna hear just 1 note. So if you just look at the piano in the picture while you're listening to the song, you can just hear the numbers. And it's like 2, 6. You just follow your eyes on the little piano from the 2 to the 6, and you can just use your eyes to sort of play the piano. You can also actually play the piano. Maybe listen to it once just looking at the piano, and then the piano diagram. And then after that, you can go to the piano and try and play along. This recording is at 60 beats per minute, which is about half the tempo of the real song. So it'll give you a chance to play along. If you would like any more information on learning music, you can contact me through my mom, Mrs. Wheelis, at the library. And I'm happy to teach on Zoom or in person. All right, thanks for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you again.
2, 6, 6. 5. Flex 4 1 1 1 2 3 1 6 5 4 5 6 1 7 6 5 4 3 6 5 4 3 2 3 4 6 6 4 3 2 1 flew to 6 6 1 7 5 1 4 4 6 5 4 3 1 6 5 4 5 6 1 7 5 4 3 6 5 4 3 2 3 4 6 5 4 3 2 1 flew to 6 6 1 7 5 flex 1 2 1 2 1 Thank you for joining us today for Serendipity. Next Thursday, we have a program entitled Mountain Mayhem. It's going to be a lot of fun with Appalachian stories and songs with jug band instruments featuring the lumberjack. We hope to see you then.